and happy holidays to everyone who watches this. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick reading for 3 days, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the 26th. So, today, Venus and Scorpio sextiles Jupiter and Virgo. So Venus in Scorpio is actually in its detriment, and Jupiter in Virgo is also in its detriment. So they are somewhat weakened by this, but they are both benefics, both beneficial, both positive influences, and they're sextiling. So this is actually going to bring more peace and harmony and openness and willingness to look at others' points of view and listen to what other people believe in or be more open-minded to others on this day. So Venus in Scorpio is going to maybe bring up the tougher subjects, possibly issues of values and maybe even money or other people's money, or the having more intimate and intense things come up in your relationships with others. Jupiter in Virgo is allowing us to look more closely at the details and zoom in on the little things that we believe in, and wants to expand beyond some of the minor influences that are causing less harmony. So there is likely to be more philosophical discussions, especially around values and other difficult subjects, maybe even exposing more darkness in your relations and exposing some of the devil in the details type of situations. Perhaps there will be more noticing of other people's flaws, but at the same time, you may be able to expand beyond being too judgmental, or possibly expand beyond the flaws in yourself even. So exposing flaws, but expanding beyond them as well. Okay. Then, Mercury in Capricorn sextiles Venus in Scorpio, and they both inconjunct the moon in Gemini, creating a yod. So with Mercury in Capricorn sextiling Venus in Scorpio, this helps us to have more serious conversations in our relationships and be able to make practical solutions or have more practical ideas about how to fix issues in your relationships. And the moon in Gemini, with them both inconjuncting the moon in Gemini, inconjunctions are kind of somewhat more difficult, but with the yod, it brings more focus to what you need to do to resolve the issue. And with the moon in Gemini, it's about expressing how you're feeling. So it may be a challenge to actually express what you're feeling, but that's what the conversation needs that you may have with your loved ones that will help the situation be resolved and allow more light to be shed in those darker areas in your relations. And then the moon moves into Cancer. So this will bring more of a focus on family, of course, and it's very appropriate for a holiday to have the moon in Cancer because it will help us to tune into our deeper feelings towards our family. And that can also be somewhat difficult at times because family brings up a lot of things within yourself at times, some of the more painful things or difficult things. And of course, on Christmas is when the full moon happens in Cancer. So on Christmas morning, 3 a.m. or so Pacific time, that's when it's exactly opposite the sun. And this is going to be bringing up some very intense emotions, possibly can help bring some resolutions to some tensions that have been building for a while in your family and even in your work-home life balance because of the sun being in Capricorn. And there's, an emphasis on family dynamics and the types of imprints that your family dynamics have put on you, and more emotional understanding possibly, or illumination happening about how you were raised, or about your family, or the different dynamics that have occurred in your family. So this can be it could be kind of challenging, especially because it's a holiday and you're going to be around all of your family members, and there could be a lot of emotional release. So it can be a positive thing if you are able to basically express that emotion as constructively as possible without causing more harm, and allowing the emotions to be released so that healing can actually occur in your family dynamics. And then Mercury in Capricorn trines Jupiter in Virgo. Now, this is actually really great for learning and expanding your mind, because Mercury is basically the more like a student, and Jupiter is more of a teacher. So this is a time to be a good listener and open your mind to other people's points of view, and also perhaps expressing your own point of view in the conversations that you have. And conversations may be very philosophical, and they may be even a bit serious to a degree because of Mercury being in Capricorn, and then Virgo is also, they're both earth signs, so they could be very focused around real world issues and wanting to solve issues possibly. And Virgo, of course, is about improving things. And the other interesting thing is that Capricorn can be a very stern teacher, and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So there is kind of a need to basically learn from mistakes, or learn from the family things even, possibly, or, because Capricorn can kind of be about the father figures in your life, or about authority too. And Capricorn's also much about learning lessons and being more serious about what needs to be done, like in terms of work, and can be very ambitious. So it could even be that you might need to learn about how to be more serious in your life, or serious about certain, about your work, or about being more realistic. And you could learn from somebody, like a teacher, about how to be more realistic and practical in the world. And then Uranus in Aries goes direct on Christmas as well. And so this could put an emphasis on a bit of rebelliousness, or a need to be free, or a need to express your individuality and be who you really are, and really embody your higher self and bring about real change, and change by being the change, and being true to yourself, like radically true to yourself, and being super honest and letting it just show, like shining that truth that is you, and that is beyond appearances, beyond anything, beyond labels. It's this general sense of your unique self that can be shown right now. And it's going to be very emphasized, and it may appear as being rebellious if you have a need to shake off those labels, or a need to, shed any old skins, or like shedding like old ways of doing things or old ways of being. And it will just be like a freeing experience. At first it might be kind of intense, but there's like a sense of freedom afterwards. And then the moon in Cancer opposes Pluto in Capricorn, and they both square Uranus and Aries. So, not only do we have a full moon on this day and Uranus going direct, but obviously the moon in Cancer is going to be emphasizing that square again. So, there is a tendency for families to put you into a box, and they see you a certain way, and this is the time to break free of any constraints that have been put upon you about who you are, and to be who you truly are without any worry about what your family is going to think. So this is a time to basically shed any boxes that are being put on you, any labels, any sort of thing that is constricting you and keeping you from moving on and being who you wish to be and being who you actually are. And then on December 26th, Venus in Scorpio semi-sextiles Mars in Libra, and they're actually in mutual reception because Mars is a co-ruler with Pluto of Scorpio, and Venus being in Scorpio. So this is really like, reminds me of the quote, "All is fair in love and war." So there is a kind of that sense of the, like, kind of a spiritual warrior kind of sense, a need to shed light on what is unfair, what is unjust, and to stand up for those who are being treated unfairly. And this can be, like, because both are, I think Mars in Libra is also in its detriment. Yeah, I think so. So there's a lot of planets in detriment right now. But this is going to be bringing up injustices in our world that are being shown and needing light to be shed on those things, so that hopefully things get better, and so that change can happen and that more action can be taken. Yes. All right. And then on December 26th, the moon in Cancer trines Venus in Scorpio and the south node in Pisces, creating a grand trine. This grand trine also creates two kites, which is when you have the trine and then opposite, there's an opposition right here in the trine. Well, there's two kites being formed. And then there's like sextiles to the bottom planet here that is opposing the top planet. So the two kites involve Mercury in Capricorn for one, and Jupiter in the North Node in Virgo for the other one. So with the water trine here, this is a time for really expressing your emotions and being very transparent about how you're feeling in your relationships, and perhaps having to move beyond being too self-sacrificing with the South Node being in Pisces. And with the opposition to Jupiter in the North Node, it's asking us to expand beyond what we perceive we need to do for others. Basically, if there's codependencies, we need to expand beyond the codependencies and not be afraid to express the feelings that we actually have, so that we can move forward in a much more healthy way and a more a way that is helpful to both parties, because it's about moving away from codependency and towards like that healthy boundaries or healthy improvements. Because once you stop allowing somebody to be so dependent on you for some whatever support it is, then they're allowed to basically take care of themselves, and you can take care of yourself as well, so that you have that mutual sense of interdependence. Like each person is their own person, and they can allow themselves to be healthier once you stop feeding the dependency by basically enabling them. Anyway, that's kind of what that's about. And then Mercury in Capricorn is about being able to speak about the boundaries, establish them by communicating your boundaries, and about being able to put in practical, like, application, like practical Capricorn's all about boundaries because of Saturn establishing boundaries, but it's also about implementing systems that can be utilized to improve a situation, and can also be about maybe communicating with an authority figure even to establish those boundaries, or I don't know. Something like that. All right. And then the moon in Cancer opposes Mercury in Capricorn, and they both square Mars in Libra, creating a T-square. So, if there's been unspoken things and emotions building without an outlet, this can maybe cause an argument or a burst of anger or anything like that, because Mars in Libra does tend to suppress its anger because Libra wants to keep the harmony. And then the moon in Cancer opposing Mercury in Capricorn can indicate possibly unspoken feelings. So it's just a good idea to express how you're feeling so that you don't cause more issues. Yeah. All right. So I hope your holidays aren't too intense, and I hope that you're able to express those feelings without coming across as too intense or angry or whatever it might come out as. And I hope you can be yourselves and be happy and have a good holiday. Thanks for watching this video, and if you liked it, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. I do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.